Hello and welcome to the NOLAnerdcast video movie review cast. I'm Chris.
I'm Matt, and we're letting Chris take the forefront on this because this movie is his baby.
We are going to talk about Gojira.
Gojira?
Or, as the Gaijin call it, Godzilla.
The reboot.
2014 Godzilla make.
Also known as the follow-up to the phenomenal 98 Broderick opus. That's the sound he makes.
You know, my favorite part of that movie is in the next Japanese movie where they killed that Godzilla in 5 seconds. And it's the best.
Okay, well, as always, we are sponsored by the Esplanade Grand Theater, and we like to, just because we're so new to this whole sponsor thing, we like to do a little shout-out about something we like about the theater each time. Let's talk about the concession stand.
Yep, it's a very good concession stand.
It's got candy.
It's got hot dogs.
And stuff.
Coke.
I'm a candy guy, and they had my favorites. And, I mean, really, when it comes to candy at a theater, it's really all you need.
Hot dogs are pretty good for a movie theater.
And nachos. Yeah. And sodas. And ices. Basically, it's a concession stand. But it's good.
It's good.
And luckily, because we did a later showing, it all flowed very nicely. But you know what? That's not what you're here for. You're here for Godzilla. I hope. If not, you picked the wrong link. But let's talk Godzilla. And this will be an interesting review because you get two very different viewpoints. One, from the guy that owns every Godzilla movie and watches them annually. And two, the guy whose only experience with Godzilla is the 98 Broderick film. So it's going to be interesting because all I know about Godzilla is what pop culture has told me. And that one movie, which I've been very emphatically informed is not Godzilla.
I don't know what that movie is. That's
versus you.
You know what that movie is? It's a half of Jurassic Park, and then it's the rest of Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's start by saying, did you like it?
I did like it a lot. I can understand why people would be bummed about it, because for a Godzilla movie, there is shockingly very little Godzilla in it.
Now, my take on that is, from what I can understand, most of the Godzilla movies never really put him in the forefront. He always showed up in the second half of the film.
Not always.
Not always?
Not always. Sometimes he's
the original.
In the original,
this is a
yes.
reboot, so this is good. We should base it off the first one.
Okay. Then yeah, it's very much like a Jaws scenario where he is.
You get the rumblings.
You get the rumblings, and he doesn't show up until the very end, and you don't see him. And I see that's what they're going for with this, which I liked a lot, but I can understand why people would be miffed that they paid to see Godzilla and they saw
I don't know, because
Zachary Taylor Alexander.
Because I feel the twist on that is if he was in the whole movie, they would be like, oh, it was just, what's the movie if it's just him the whole time? You got to have some build up, I guess. I don't know. I feel like playing devil's advocate the way people are,
I have an itch.
You want me to scratch it for you?
No, don't touch me.
Okay. I feel playing devil's advocate, if Godzilla was the entire movie, people would find a reason to complain about that too.
It's the internet. People find a reason to complain about anything.
However, so you liked it.
I liked it a lot.
I liked it a lot. But let's see if it's for the same reasons.
Okay.
You want to take point, or should I? And then you respond to me as someone who actually knows about Godzilla.
You go ahead and I'll respond.
What I liked about it, and here, from what I heard from most people, the most negative response is it focused too much on the human characters, and I guess that dovetails into not enough Godzilla, but they acted like the human characters were bad or boring. I didn't find that. I mean, they're not super interesting. I'm not going to go home and talk about how great Admiral Stenz was or that dude that played the dude. But I will say I love Ken Watanabe in everything he's ever done.
Yeah.
And him playing the requisite Japanese scientist. Although I'm kind of bummed he never said Godzilla.
We said Gojira.
I know. But not like looking up at him and doing the scream.
No.
I feel like that's the one scene you had to recreate.
No, but no, that actually doesn't really happen.
It doesn't?
No.
I thought it did in the movie. Again, I don't know.
That's a pop culture invention.
Well, so let's talk about the cast.
Okay.
And then we'll see how that goes. So Kick-Ass, the guy who was Kick-Ass,
Aaron
Taylor Johnson, or the JTT of our generation, the guy with 3 first names.
Yeah. He's good.
I mean, you almost don't recognize him at first.
I didn't.
But I mean, as the main character, soldier / family man, I mean, he was good. I thought the most interesting casting decision was, I mean, if you've seen anything about the movie, the trailers, the commercials, they hype up Bryan Cranston a lot, and they did not use him very much in the movie, and I thought that was interesting. Almost all of his scenes were from the trailer.
Yeah.
And then he's not used anymore.
It is very interesting because he is such a huge part of the marketing, and
I feel like it's a little bait and switchy.
The way the marketing plays out, you'd figure he'd have a bigger role in the climax.
And I think that was when people complain about the human element, I think what they're really saying is we wanted more Bryan Cranston. Instead, we got these kick-ass and some no-names.
Yeah.
But when it comes to this movie, you're not there for the humans. You're there for Godzilla. And even though he was only in for about a third of the film, when he shows up, it's amazing. To me.
Well, his fight scenes are really good. I think the thing I like the most about Aaron Taylor Johnson is that it's really adding a human scope to these fight scenes. The old Godzilla movies have a certain charm by being basically men in rubber suits fighting each other. And since we're in a new CG realm, it's a lot easier to get the scope across looking at it through his eyes. And I think there's some very interesting shots, like when he's halo jumping down, and it's from his first-person perspective, and he sees the battle going on between him and the two monsters.
They did it twice in the movie, and I noticed it and appreciated it. It's such a small touch, but every time they do the first person and he's got the mask on, he's basically, instead of the Darth Vader like very slow breathing, it's a very rapid breath through the gas mask, and I really like that because in that situation you would be breathing really heavily and freaking out. And I don't know why I picked up on that, but they did it twice. Once when he was on the ground at the first Mudo, I like that acronym, and then second on the halo jump, and I'm like, that it made him seem more realistic, I guess. I don't know. It's such a small thing, but I picked up on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good details going on in this movie.
I do like that. And the trailer did not warn me that it would be Godzilla versus other monsters. I did not know that.
I caught that in the trailer because there is a scene of something swooping down onto the ship in the main trailer, and
was there? I don't know.
That shot was in there, and it was not Godzilla. And I know people on the internet speculated, was it Rodan, was it Mothra? It's a new monster.
The Mutos.
The Mutos.
Or as I like to call it, Mutom and Mutoff. Muto M and Muto F, the male and female. Coining it. What?
Mutos.
Mutom.
The Mutos are very Cloverfield, I thought, in their appearance. Initially when they're hatched, that's the first thing that jumped to my mind. Just the way their front legs curve back.
With the claws.
Yes, it's very Cloverfield, and I don't know if that's intentional and this is the Godzilla response to Cloverfield, or if it's just what they went with.
Natural, how things are.
And I understand why they didn't go back to any of the classic monsters, because they're suit monsters, so they're very stylized in a way that would look kind of ridiculous, because Godzilla looks way different than he looked in any of previous films.
I like the concept that in this time it's Godzilla wasn't born or awoken from the nukes in the 50s. They were trying to kill him with those, and the monsters that Godzilla's fighting were parasites back in the day when Godzilla's kind were the apex predator, and he awakens in response to them to hunt them down. And I thought that was a cool twist, because usually it's just man awakens monster goes on rampage. Why are we not... I want to say this because you have to draw the comparison to Pacific Rim nowadays, but... Is it weird that part of me was like, why are you doing all this crazy stuff with some nukes? Just build a giant robot and punch him in the face.
They didn't have time to build a robot.
Well, then that shows lack of foresight on their part. Well, just saying.
Well, I think...
Gypsy Danger would have taken him out in a jiffy.
I don't know if that's true. That Godzilla...
Not Godzilla.
Oh,
the Mutos.
Yeah.
No, you don't fight Godzilla. He's on our side.
Yeah, and that's another weird thing about this movie, is that Godzilla is a firmly pro-human.
afterwards, the media praises him as their savior. I don't think he was pro-human so much as we were so insignificant. He was there for the monsters, and then he pieces out. And we talked about this on the ride home, that I feel like that's how you know this is an American movie, because it's such an American viewpoint to go, oh, this guy did something and saved us. And even though we were completely inconsequential in that act, it was a primal force of nature. We're like, God sent him. He's our savior.
Yeah.
America. He came for America. And I think it's mostly because most of the movie took place in America, and that's where the fights took place, and that's from the viewpoint. But it's different than the Japanese ones, I believe.
Yes,
you tell me. I don't know.
Yeah, it is a little different because Godzilla's savior of the planet, friend of the children, etc., etc.
What about Godzookie? Okay, favorite part of the movie, and I think I think it's the same one I have.
The fire breathing down the face.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
So one of the big
fire
complaints
effects are very, very.
One of the big complaints of the '98 one was that the entire movie he does not breathe fire once.
Because he's not Godzilla.
Okay. But in this one, they go through almost the whole movie, and then out of nowhere, through the smoke, you see his tail start glowing blue, and you're like, oh snap, oh snap. And then, kaboom, and you're like, oh. I turned to you, and I was like, yeah. I mean, that was me. I figured I have to imagine you were freaking out a little bit more than me.
I was very pleased with that.
And then he does a finishing move on one of the Mudos with it, and it's a sight to behold. Because I thought it was just going to be like a jaw snap.
Yeah.
And then it was so much better than that.
The jaw snap's a favorite of Godzilla, so the fire breathing down the face is a new one.
So that scene, the monster-on-monster fights in general, the Halo jump, what other parts of the movie did you enjoy?
I like the train sequence a lot.
Which one? The one where he's
where
helping the little kid? Okay.
No,
the military train. Gotcha.
Other train. I like that. There's a lot about this I like. There's a couple of things I just don't care for.
I'm going to say the big part I didn't. His son, the guy that got to play his son. I mean, not to mention the fact that he just basically did nothing the whole movie except just stand there and at one point say "Mom."
Be sad.
He looked weird, and I had to keep giggling. I mean, I know that's terrible. He's like 5, and he's in a movie, but man,
this was his big break, and you crushed him.
He was goofy looking, and he was not a great actor. To be fair, that could just be the script. They didn't give him much to work with. But
I think it has more to do with the fact that he's 5.
Dakota Fanning did more at 5. I'm just
Kids
saying,
not Dakota
kids can act, not that one. But minor quip, I think. Just every time he was on screen, he pulled me out of it a little. Other than that, acting-wise, everyone was competent. I didn't have any problems with anybody.
Yeah, I didn't mind the acting, but some of the story decisions really bothered me because everyone is very stupid.
Okay, explain
this. Well, it's early on, very much established that the Mudos release an EMP.
Okay,
and
it
has a radius of like 5 miles. So they keep flying jets
or helicopters,
or anything at the Muda, and it blacks out, and they're like, "Oh no, EMP!"
Yeah. See, at least later on, the boats are like, "Oh God, what happened?" They're like, "Oh, it was EMP." Okay, but then the planes start dropping, and why? Why are the planes still there?
Also, there are still people working in San Francisco while an evacuation order is in effect, and monsters are destroying your city.
Yeah.
So
I don't understand that part.
Some people are some of the decisions we are very stupid.
That deal with Cairo wasn't going to make itself. Okay.
Yeah.
He had to stay and finish cooking the books.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know, but I mean, yeah, there was some stupid moments, but a lot of that can just be chalked up to you got to have some humans left in the city to scream a lot.
I guess, but even then, because I don't think they survived that building.
Not that one.
No, the one where all the suits are working. They definitely didn't survive, and I'm sure most of the pilots didn't.
I loved the scene in Vegas, and the scene in Hawaii were both really cool. I love the destruction because a lot of movies do the big destruction sequences where entire cities are leveled, but I thought they did them really nicely because Vegas has a lot of really recognizable monuments and places, and seeing them all destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Hawaii one was such a cool concept with the the rising tide like flooding out most of it, and then the fight happened in the airport. I don't know. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. Some of the destruction sequences are really well done.
So, anything else you'd like to drop down about this film? Did you like the look of Godzilla this time? I felt he was very Godzilla-y.
He's too fat.
Really?
No, he's fine.
Okay.
That's another complaint I saw on the internet.
Oh.
They did a really good, interesting thing of modeling him, especially in the face. His facial expressions are closer to that of a bear, as opposed to a dinosaur, and it's more noticeable when he's roaring.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was a really interesting touch. He's way more massive than any other media has presented him, so he looks like a way more.
Apparently, he likes eating Fiats. Better eating Fiats than teaming up with the Taco Bell Chihuahua to eat some.
I don't know if that's true.
Gorditas Crunches or whatever they were advertising in '98. I don't know.
It was the Gordita. Or the Crunchita.
So I find that really interesting that you, as a longtime fan, and me as, I don't even know if you could call me a fan, just a guy who knows of Godzilla, both enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't take a lot to screw up a Godzilla movie.
Not according to people on the internet.
Well, I've seen a lot of them, and Godzilla movies are B movies, except for like the first one, which was it was a really poignant thing on nuclear testing and the dangers of the bomb, et cetera, et cetera. But all the others are monsters from the third planet of the black hole have created a 3-headed, armless, winged dragon, and Godzilla's going to fight him on the moon.
Because why not?
That's the movie.
Yeah. Or
the one where aliens build a robot Godzilla and then put him in a suit so he looks like Godzilla, and then Godzilla fights him, and then another
Mechagodzilla?
Yeah, and then another monster joins in, and they both fight this robot Godzilla. Also, Interpol gets involved.
Of course.
Is
Loop on the third?
No.
Oh, nothing.
Movie's useless at that point. But it's just Godzilla movies. They're not like GoldenEye, where they make a new one comes out. It's like, oh, that's really good and really well written. It's like, oh, I guess
another Godzilla.
Oh, I guess we're putting psychics in this movie now.
It's interesting to see them once again try and give it the AAA blockbuster treatment, and it seems to be working.
Yeah, well, it took them 16 years since the last one. So.
Hey, they had to give people time to forget about Matthew Broderick.
No one, never forget.
Never forget, never surrender.
Never surrender.
All right, what do you give it?
I give it a 9. I would totally buy this day one Blu-ray.
I'm gonna give it an 8.5. I really enjoyed it. To me, it's Pacific Rim minus the awesome robots.
I think Pacific Rim I think Godzilla's really good. I think Pacific Rim is a way more fun movie.
Definitely, but I still definitely would pick it up. And if you have any interest at all with it, if there's anything you can take away from this review, it's that whether you're a lifelong fan or not, it's enjoyable to watch, and as a summer movie, definitely worth your time and money. So. I'm Matt.
I'm Chris.
And Chris, why don't you tell them where else they can find us and what to do with the video, the stuff down there?
As always, you can email us at NOLAnerdcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook at NOLAnerdcast.
Wait.
You can...
Hold on. I'll do... Nope.
Rate and subscribe to us on YouTube. And rate and review us on iTunes.
That's supposed to be an app.
For the weekly pod. You suck. wait for the weekly comic podcast and the monthly game podcast, and spread the word.
Tune in coming up in less than a month. We're going to have a lot of E3 coverage for 2014, talking about all the individual press conferences and then our overall thoughts of the show and best of and all that fun stuff. But in terms of movie reviews,
we'll be back for
X-Men Days of Future Past. So check it out, subscribe, like, all that fun stuff, comment, let us know if you agree or disagree. And if you live in the New Orleans area, check out your next movie at the Esplanade Grand, because it's actually really, really nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm Matt.
I'm Chris.
And we're the NOLAnerds, and this has been our Godzilla review. Peace. And that's the worst Godzilla.
It had the little thing at the end.
It's a Godzookie spore.
Godzookie blows smoke smoke rings.
Godzookie is the scrappy dude.
Actually, that's actually Godzookie's only from the cartoon.
Uh-huh.
The one from the movies is Manila.
I'm leaving. All right, and done.